welcome you to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. For 114 years, Rotary members have been addressing challenges all around the world. Grassroots at its core, Rotary links 1.2 million members to form an organization of international scope. It started with the vision of one man, Paul Harris. The Chicago attorney formed the Rotary Club of Chicago on February 23, 1905, so professionals with diverse backgrounds could exchange ideas, form meaningful lifelong friendships, and give back to their communities. From those humble beginnings, we gather today in the spirit of community, fellowship, and service. If you haven't already done so, please take a moment now to silence your cell phones. Thank you. A special thanks to Tom Wolfe for our pre-meeting musical interlude. Tom. Let's begin our program with an invocation and the song and pledge from Jerry Dillon, followed by visitor introductions from past President Ed Monette.
Let's pray together. In honor of Black History Month, I'm wanting to quote words that have been prayers by Dr. Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and Desmond Tutu. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Our human compassion binds us the one to another, not in pity or patronizingly, but as human beings who have learned how to turn common suffering into hope for the future. Do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good that put together that overwhelm the world. May we turn our transformative prayers into peace, reconciliation, and justice. May we be involved as Rotarians not only in our lives with intentional acts of authentic love and compassion. May we never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Amen. Now let's sing God Bless America. God bless America, the land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains, through the prairies, to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. As is our custom, I will introduce the host Rotarian and their guests. If they would stand briefly so we may take a peek at you and sit back down, we'll hold our applause and greet everyone in unison together. Rotarian Cara Gay Neal has with her Lisa Oden from Don't Do Business Alone. John Croissant has brought his better half, Deb, with Allstate and Muse Intimates. Daniel Regan has with him Jared Horton from Sprick Realty. Michelle Place has a very special guest. Her mother, Dale Adcock, otherwise known as the Belle of Little Rock, Arkansas. Richard Holmes has his daughter, Ashley Cutshall, with Morgan Stanley. David Wagner has with him Joanna Smith, Hearts for Hearing. Let's give them all a warm Rotary welcome. We have some visiting Rotarians and Rotaractors from the Broken Arrow Club, Galen Engel. Hi, Galen. We have 3 from Rotaract. We have Precious Campbell. Hi, Precious. We have Jessica Carney. Hi, Jessica. And we have Jonathan Slay. Hi, Jonathan. And last but not least, Rotaract member Jessica Carney has with her Kevin Flynn with T.D. Williamson. Let's give everyone a warm Rotary welcome.
Thanks, Jerry and Ed. A special thanks to this week's meeting sponsors: Regent Bank, Elaine Dishman; Robert E. Parker, attorney; One Gas, Robert Babcock. Next Wednesday, we'll hear from Oklahoma State University men's golf coach Alan Bratton. Then on March 6th, international best-selling author Adam Makos will be our guest speaker, and he'll talk about his new book, Spearhead. This is the book. During World War II, a team of cameramen followed Clarence Smoyer and his tank crew as they fought through Cologne. What you're about to see are the actual heroes of this book in the heat of battle. Once again, on March 6th, we'll hear from international best-selling author Adam Makos. Please help me welcome past President Chuck Wilson with a new member introduction. Chuck.
Tim is 2 weeks out from knee replacement surgery, so he's taking it a little bit slower. It's amazing. I am pleased to introduce our newest corporate member, Tulsa Teachers Credit Union. Established in 1934, TTCU is now a $1.8 billion financial institution with a full complement of depository, lending, and financial advisory services. The membership of TTCU is more than 130,000 strong and is made up of teachers, school faculty, administrators, staff, students, and more than 600 affiliated groups. Tim Lyons, President and CEO of TTCU, will be the corporate member. He joined Rotary in March 2009 and is a Club Foundation Fellow. He and his wife Carol have been married for 37 years. Tim was introduced to Rotary through his predecessor, Wayne Bland, who was a member of this club for a number of years. Standing with Tim is Dan Newberry, the Senior VP of Lending for TTCU, and he will be a participating member of our club. Dan is an author, entrepreneur, businessman, speaker, and retired Oklahoma State Senator. Prior to TTCU, Dan started Homeland Federal Mortgage with 2 employees and grew that business in lending to more than $150 million in revenue. Then at TTCU, Dan grew their mortgage business from $40 million to over $140 million in 4 years. He is currently the co-host of The Future of Real Estate on KRMG Radio and a member of Elite Tolls Fellowship. Dan earned his BS from ORU and a diploma in charismatic ministry, and then his MBA from UNC Chapel Hill. Dan served in the Oklahoma State Senate as chairman of the Business and Commerce Committee for 10 years. He and his wife, Laura, established the Paul Revere Reading Society, created to motivate elementary students to read after learning of illiteracy rates among our nation's youth. They do this through interactive programs and therapy reading dogs. Dan's book, The Rich Young Ruler, explores the principles needed to overcome adversity, build wealth, and leave a lasting legacy. He and Laura are the proud parents of 4 children. Will you please stand and welcome TTCU and Dan Newberry.
Thank you, Chuck, and welcome once again, Dan. Paul Harris Fellow recognition has been decorating our Rotary Foundation's passionate supporters for many years. The Paul Harris Fellowship is named for Paul Harris, who, as has been mentioned, founded Rotary with 3 business associates in Chicago in 1905. The fellowship was established in his honor in 1957 to express appreciation for a contribution of $1,000 to the humanitarian and educational programs of the Rotary International Foundation. Becoming a Paul Harris Fellow is a tremendous accomplishment and an honor. It's a way to multiply both generosity and community impact. As I introduce our Paul Harris Fellows, Rotary International Foundation Chair Pedro Figueroa will present them with their certificate and their lapel pin. And assisting us is past President Linda Bradshaw, passing out certificates. Paul Harris Fellows include Daniel Gomez, our Sarge. Daniel. Liz Hunt. Bill Kogerman. Kip Lycum. Karen McCannell. Tom Roper. And Harvey Rowe, Paul Harris Fellow +1. Thank you all for making a difference and for your ongoing and generous support of the Rotary International Foundation. We're going to get a group shot once everybody's down there. Thank you. One more round of applause. And Daniel, since you're already up, you might as well do your Sarge bit, right?
All right, I'm already here. Well, as far as that's concerned, I haven't seen Del Dreyer in the room, but I wanted to thank him. He shared some of his points with me to get this honor, and it just goes to show how helpful that is. So that's a great program that the club offers, and I'm appreciative of it. The first thing I wanted to talk about is something that's pretty important to me. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but Eddie Sutton was here a few weeks ago, and he's up for the Hall of Fame again. And I think it's time that he's in. There's a hashtag that goes around social media called Put Eddie In. It was actually started by Doug Gottlieb, who was a player when I was in school. So there's really not much you can do, apparently. I actually looked into this, and the Basketball Hall of Fame is one of the most secretive organizations in the world for some reason. But I think Eddie Sutton deserves to be in, and I think it needs to happen while he's still here with us. So if anybody follows me on Facebook, you're going to see that I'm pretty active on this because he's a hero of mine. So I just wanted to mention that. Sarge fines, just an update to last week from President Hannibal's appearance in the Tulsa World. After the meeting, I actually got some more money in from the Rotary Board, so the total's $300. I thought that was pretty impressive.
Great.
So thanks again, Hannibal, for being in the newspaper. See how many more appearances you can make. I could probably do this every week, but I'll save you every now and then.
All right.
John Croissant gave us $68. He appeared on both Channel 6 and Channel 8. Pretty important issue he's advocating for. John is a former teacher. I caught him on Channel 8 there too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the number is 30,000 teachers have left the profession over 6 years, including 5,000 last year alone. It's getting a lot of attention now, so this is a good example, in my opinion, of Rotarians leading the way in our community. But thanks for the donation, John. Thanks for what you're doing. Rob Berry, his birthday is February 26th. Happy birthday, Rob. Gave $100 for the Above and Beyond Awards. He didn't have any clever calculation. He did put in his email to make clear that he's not 100 years old. If you couldn't tell, thank you, Rob, and happy birthday. Mike Homan, $100 for Emmy Kate's first birthday. Apparently this is grandpa-granddaughter donut breakfasts, which this was the first. My son is about that age, and he's growing a couple of teeth, so it all just turns into mash anyways. But congratulations, Mike, and thank you. And happy birthday to Emmy Kate. So Tim Caldwell's Rotary anniversary is February 21st. I wanted to recognize it. I'm not fining him because we made $500 last week off of his opera ticket donation. So I just wanted to recognize Tim again, say thank you for that, and happy Rotary anniversary, Tim. That's all I got this week. Thanks, President Hannibal.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Side mic announcements. Lynette Potter, Social Committee.
Daniel always does such a good job, and it's hard to follow him on the side mic. Thanks, Daniel. So, has this ever happened to you? Because it has with me. That you got so passionate that you expressed to maybe your adult children how fantastic polio is, what the history's been, how rich it is, and then all you get from them is, yeah, well, what's next? Or crickets, you know? Well, what if there was a movie about polio that really passionately expressed our story? Well, there is. It's Breathe. You're going to love it. I'm going to let you know we only have 82 tickets available. So that means 41 Rotarians plus their significant other, or like me, it may mean 5 tickets just for my family. So you got to go get your tickets. This is going to be Thirsty Thursdays, March 7th at the Circle Cinema. It starts at 6. We have a special speaker right before the movie, which is Corey. Is Corey here today? He's not. You're going to love his story. And it is a romantic story, so you guys, you're going to get some points out of this. Bring your spouse or your significant other. It starts at 6, it'll be over at 9. There will be adult beverages before the movie. Have a good one.
Great, thank you. Rob Berry, Above and Beyond.
Okay, quick show of hands. Who here has been to an Above and Beyond award event? Good. If you don't have your hand up, And let me tell you, it's coming up in 3 weeks. March 13th will be the 12th Above and Beyond Awards. It was started in 2008. I joined Rotary in 2011, and when I went to my first Above and Beyond Awards the following spring, I was overwhelmed. I thought, well, this is something I've got to get involved with, and I've been on the committee ever since. So I've been involved with about half of them. For those of you, I think most of you know, but Above and Beyond Awards, we honor the great first responders of the Tulsa Fire Department and the Tulsa Police Department. And it's for outstanding, going above and beyond, generally community service, things beyond their normal areas of work. And over the years, we've had many outstanding men and women. This year is no different, with one exception. Both of our honorees this year are women. So I know you all will enjoy the event. It's always one of the great events of the year. So be here March 13th.
Thank you.
Side of a side mic, tickets are going to be sold out front, so come on.
Thanks, Lynette. Next up is Forrest Cameron. Forrest, we just want to thank you for all your support and coverage in the GTR newspapers, particularly the work you did on the Martin Luther King Parade, and we were in all the papers. It's great.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be a Rotarian. And we started the Greater Tulsa Reporter newspapers in 1993 with the Union Boundary. In 1995, we went online with our papers. We get great hits online. We expanded in 1995. We thought about going ahead and just having one big paper, but the people in Union said, we put you into business. So we kept our targets to school district areas, but what we do is syndicate to ourselves. So for instance, we can put like the Little League News and all that in like Bixby, Jinx, Owasso, those papers. This is the Midtown Monitor. But then we have paper news like Rotary News, goes into all of our papers. We just had a photo from Rotary from the Martin Luther King Day Parade where the Rotarians were there. It's an honor to be able to do that. And also for any Rotarian, well, for your nonprofits, just send us the information. We'll try to do as much as we can for you at no cost. But we do for the businesses, we give a 50% discount to the Rotarians. And I just want to tell you all, for your next car, be sure and buy it at Jackie Cooper. And if you have any tree work you need done, go to Weeby Trees. And also we had a whole lot for TTCU. They have given a whole lot of money to the schools. We put all that in. So we appreciate it. And like I say, it's an honor to be a Rotarian. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for that vocational minute. Our Rotarian of the day is Vic Bailey. Vic, a Tulsa native, graduated from Central High School and from University of Tulsa. He spent his career in radio and television advertising sales, currently working with Royal Ales at RSU TV. Vic's been a Rotarian since 2000. During his Rotary tenure, he worked in Muskogee for 4 years and was a member of the Rotary Club of Muskogee. Vic currently serves on the Song and Pledge Committee and the Salvation Army Bell Ringers. He's the father of 2 grown sons, grandfather of 2 beautiful granddaughters, and there's a grandson that's due in May. Please help me welcome fellow Rotarian Vic Bailey.
Gentlemen from TTCU, if I may brag a little bit, I believe, if I'm correct, that TTCU was founded by a group of teachers at Central High School. So let's hear it for the old CHS. My friend, Michael Linscott, has had just about every job on the NatureWorks board. He is a can-do kind of guy, and I think it's also good to mention that Mike is currently the president of the Rotary Club of Will Rogers. So he's involved in a lot of beneficial things. He was raised right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, graduated from Jinx High School. Ed, you and I can both claim him because he did his undergraduate work at OU and graduated from TU Law School. So He is currently a partner at Dorner, Saunders, Daniel, and Anderson, and handles environmental business, property matters, as well as other litigation. He and his wife Linda live in Tulsa and have 4 children, and I think his personal claim to fame is the fact that he is Matt Linscott's dad. Matt Linscott was an all-state football player at Jinx. He went on to be a walk-on at TU and became one of the best defensive players, defensive back, linebacker, whatever you want to call it. If there was a tackle that needed to be made, Matt did it. So, and courtesy of Dad, I'm sure. But anyway, I want to introduce my friend and fellow board member, Michael Linscott.
Well, thank you for having me here today, and Vic's way too kind. And you can tell from looking at me that Matt did not get his football linebacker prowess from me. I am, by marriage, benefactor of 2 things. My wife is a Burris, and all of you that are the OU fans of football, the Burris brothers were pretty legendary in their day. And then also, she's a member of the Cherokee Nation. I have 4 kids that are, which helped a lot on scholarship money. I want you to know. Quite a bit. Anyway, listening to, first off, again, thank you for having me here. And it's a pleasure to visit with Hannibal again. I've seen him speak a lot, and he's certainly notable. Listening that you're going to have the OSU golf coach here and then best-selling authors, it reminds me of a commencement I went to at Dartmouth where Conan O'Brien spoke. And at that same commencement was George H.W. Bush, and I think her first name was Marjorie, I can't remember her last name, but a well-known civil rights leader from the 60s. And Conan got up there, who's a Harvard grad, and he said, I always thought you folks here at Dartmouth were pretty smart, but I got to ask you, you've got a president and a civil rights leader, and you ask a talk show host to be your speaker, you know. The whole commencement address was actually pretty amazing, so if you get a chance to look at it, it's still on YouTube. But I feel like that here today, and I'm very glad to be here and appreciate you having me. I have been a part of NatureWorks for 15 years. It's a 501c3 entity, all volunteer organization. It's founded in its current form in 1991, but has a 10 or 12 year history before that. Since that time, NatureWorks has done very well at honoring its mantra, and that is to raise money for wildlife conservation efforts. NatureWorks, like I say, raises money through a couple of ways. I'll discuss those here in a minute. But they take that money and then use it for projects. And to date, since 1991, we have donated almost $2 million to various wildlife projects in northeastern Oklahoma. So we're very proud of that, and we have a committee that decides what projects to do. And so several of them you may know about, some maybe not. We have donated money pretty much every year to the Sutton Avian Research Center. The Sutton Avian Research Center, if you don't know, was responsible in large part for the reintroduction of the bald eagle, currently working on the greater prairie chicken. And one of the things that I think is the coolest partnership we have with them is the student art competition. And it's wildlife art, as you can imagine, because that's what we're all about. But we give away $10,000 to $20,000 worth of scholarships each year to students that get first, second, third in various divisions at the art show competition. And at the art show that I'll discuss here in just a minute, you could see their student art. And I will tell you, some of it is pretty close to being as good as some of the art that we have at the show, and it's fantastic. But anyway, that's a neat part of that. We also have donated money to Trouts Unlimited. They put on a parent and child fishing opportunity at a pond or lake nearby, and we help them with money to stock the pond and so they can experience the fishing process. We've also donated money to the Nature Conservancy, to Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation for various projects they have. Pretty much every year they come to us with things that they cannot have state money to help them with. As you all know, there's some constraints on state money these days, and it always has been when it comes to the Wildlife Commission. So our help and that of others helps them meet their goals of providing wildlife opportunities for people in the public to enjoy, not just on private land. We've also contributed to helping reintroduce or expand the paddlefish on the Three Rivers area up in far northeastern Oklahoma, as well as other programs. That's what we do with our money. We don't do things ourselves. We raise the money and give it to those that really know what they're doing with it. The two ways that we raise money is, one, through our art show, and I'm going to talk more about it here in just a minute. But second is our monument program. We didn't start off with a monument program. We started off with just the art show. But in around 1993 or 4, some of the board members thought, you know, we've got these great sculptors. The bronzes that they do are pretty amazing, and some of them are large. And we knew that they could create larger-than-life monuments. And so we had an idea. If we could raise money, have patrons for these monuments, we would put them in places so that people in Tulsa that might not otherwise get out and see these critters, you know, can see at least what one looks like and experience it, and have some great art to enjoy for the city of Tulsa. So we have put up 29 larger-than-life monuments around the city. Most of them you'll see on Riverside at various locations. And you probably know probably the most popular one, if I was to ask you, I can bet it would be the Bears, right? I mean, everyone here is sort of familiar with the Bears. That's Bank of Oklahoma, and that was put in, I want to say 12, 13 years ago. But there are many others up along Riverside and other places. We have two out at La Fortune, and we have one up in Bixby. And we recently were able to work with Quick Trip to wind up dedicating part of the Quick Trip Plaza there at 41st and Riverside to 5 birds of the Arkansas River, okay? Now the first one, I have to admit, I think when I was president, the Monuments Committee came up with this critter, a pelican. Pelican, you know, I thought a pelican was on a beach in California, you know, white with a yellow, you know, what you see on cartoons. Well, actually, the pelican is indigenous to the Arkansas River. And as luck would have it, great luck, when we dedicated that monument, which some of you may have seen, which is on a pedestal out away from the curved part of the plaza, and then it's elevated, and it's flying like that. And it is, I think, really, really cool. It's a really good-looking monument, and it's one that I really didn't realize was indigenous to our area. The next one is actually my pick. You know, I take this one, man, this hits home with me. Right down here is a maquette of the great blue heron. And it is a bird that I have a cabin east of here in a place called Cedar Crest, and it's on Spring Creek. And I've hunted before, but I'm much more of an avid fisherman. And I particularly fish for black bass, which is what that critter is over there, but I'll get to that in a sec. But when I go down early in the morning or even late in the evening, you'll come down to the creek, and normally there'll be 1 or 2 of those blue heron there. And as you get closer to where you're going to fish, they take off. And when they take off, they're lifting those legs up, and the wings are like this, and they're flying down the center of the creek over the water. It's just magnificent. Well, when we heard that, when the Monuments Committee said, yeah, that's what we wanted, and by the way, it's also indigenous to the Arkansas River. When we heard that the Monuments Committee was going to use that bird, we asked for some pictures from other people out on Spring Creek. And so we got 10 or 12 pictures, and from that, this monument was created. And so when when we dedicate it, and it should be in May, I believe, there'll be a ceremony, just like we've had for the others. And that's going to be about 10 foot tall on a pedestal sitting down there in Quick Trip Plaza. It'll be really neat. So that's why this one's kind of personal to me, but they're all pretty good. I guess the most recent one we installed here was the polar bear. That's dedicated to Pete Messler, former judge here in Tulsa County. Each one of these monuments is dedicated to someone who has given of their time, efforts, material well-being, whatever, to wildlife conservation, and done in such a way that they deserve to be honored. And so we've done that with people and organizations. The Boy Scouts have been an honoree, and this year's honoree is the River Parks Group, who has been so kind to let us put so many of these monuments out there on Riverside for enjoyment, and we thought they were deserving, so that is who the Blue Heron will be dedicated to. Again, the money that is raised by the patrons that donate for these monuments pays for the monument entirely, maintains it, and then that money also goes into wildlife conservation. Okay, let me talk about the art show real quick. The art show this year is on March 2nd and 3rd at the Renaissance Hotel. This is our 12th year at the Renaissance. We have 48 artists there. One of them is here with us today. Of the 48 artists, they are in a variety of disciplines. You have people that do sculptures, bronzes, and then we have wood carvers. They are quite impressive to look at what they can do. It looks like a real live bird at times with what they do with wood. It's amazing. And then we have paintings, and all of this genre covers all of the areas of genres that we've covered here is Western, wildlife, landscapes. Landscapes have become more and more popular at the show and in the region. We are also looking at changing. I think every group goes through change. We've been doing this for 28 years, and we've noticed that across the country at other shows of this kind that you'll have more contemporary type art and more native art. And so today we have with us a guy that exemplifies that with his art. Let me see if I can, whoops, here we go. Okay, this is a painting that Josh did, and I'll have him go through and tell you about these, but this just gives you an idea. This is a native art, and it is more contemporary. You can tell what it is. It's not like a photograph. And we're seeing that becoming much more popular in places like Utah, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, in Colorado. And our artists, a lot of them are from these areas and have shows in that area. And one thing I hadn't mentioned is we are the only all-volunteer 501c3 art show in the United States. And we consistently rank 1, 2, or 3 in the quality of the show. So you've got a really great show here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we need to have you come out. But I'd like to have Josh come up and just talk a little bit about what he does, and then I'll go on to something else in a second.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here today. They took the painting down. I have one down here. So I paint with knives. I also sculpt with the same knives. So it's a little bit interesting. I'm married with 5 children. I've grown up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, my entire life. I travel all over the world with my art. I have a huge passion for wildlife and to work with NatureWorks, the Nature Conservancy. It's been a real honor, so I really look forward to this show. This is the first year I've been involved with NatureWorks. A lot of the proceeds go back to wildlife and to preserving these wild places, so I invite everybody to come out. I don't think I know anybody in this room, but I hope after March 2nd and 3rd, maybe about a quarter of you. It would be fantastic. Thank you.
I'm going to put, this is another one of his paintings here. This is the wildlife side, obviously some deer or elk. This is a native one here. And there he is with yet another type of his art. Again, this is the kind of thing that is becoming more and more popular and really like it. Also, I didn't know until he came up here that he's from Jinx, and he and I also share something in common. When I went to Jinx back in the 70s, it had a hair code, and it was rather strictly enforced, I'll tell you. And both Josh and I would not pass today. And back in the day, what they would do is you walk out and pull the people's hair, but touch your ear. They did not call home. They didn't ask questions. They took you to Leon's barbershop and cut your hair. So you and I are safe today, Josh. Anyway, on the see how much time I got. On the art show, I would really encourage you to come out. The Renaissance has really been a good place for us. Like I said, we've been there 12 years. Before that, we were at the Marriott, and before that, the Doubletree, and before that, the Camelot, which is no longer with us. The Renaissance has been good because of the size of its space. Back in the early days, we had maybe 10 artists, and then it slowly went up to 20. And by the time we hit 30, 35, the Marriott, we outgrew it. You know, there just was not any way to comfortably let the artists display their wares. Today, we have these 48, and there's room, plenty of room. We're in 26,000 square feet. The full ballroom and all salons are opened up, and it's a really nice place to go. And on Saturday and Sunday, we have mimosas, so hey, you know, come out and enjoy yourself. The artists are the other real attraction, as you could tell from Josh here, very personable, and as that would be the case for all of our artists. The thing we like to, we think is such a neat experience here is you really do get to meet them. You get to go one-on-one with them, particularly Saturday, Sunday. There's plenty of time and opportunities for you to visit with the artists, kind of see what they do. We have people with prints, giclées. I've always wondered how to say that. Is it giclée or giclée? Yeah. Anyway, and original work. We have all of it. So it's a wide variety of expense and whatever is your pleasure. The monuments, the guy that did this monument here is Raymond Gibby. He is from Utah, and he'll be there at the show. He'll have a lot of his other work. The bronze folks are really something. Jocelyn Russell has been with us, I think, from the very beginning, and she is really good about telling you how to create these bronzes. It's quite an interesting process, and if nothing else, you know, come out and engage them and visit with them about it. It's really, really a lot of fun. Okay, the last thing I want to visit with you about is this, and I've got a couple of slides to talk about here. You're about the first group that we've told this to publicly, but NatureWorks has had in mind for the last 10 years doing a grand monument, and I mean grand. It is, if any of you have been to Dallas in the Las Colinas area and seen the Mustangs, okay, that's the kind of thing we're looking for, and maybe even beyond. I forget how many Mustangs are in that, but what we're talking of doing, or what we are doing, is creating something called the Tulsa Herd. And it's going to be a herd of bison, about 40 of them, okay? And it's going to take us a little time to do it, hopefully not that long, but we have committed, and NatureWorks has invested in this, and not just asking for money, which we will be from people around the community, but we have invested and got the first 11 coming in. It's in a partnership with the county, and they're starting to work on the landscape. A guy named Dan Allerbach, who's some people know of around town in the commercial area for landscaping, is doing our landscape work. And so this is the artist. I think you can see him in this. Maybe not. Well, anyway, the artist is Stephen LeBlanc. Again, he's been with the art show virtually from the beginning. He used to wear a tux all the time. Now he doesn't. I don't know. He's getting cocky, I guess. But anyway, he is the guy that was selected to do this. And we're going to have 4 different types of bison in various places running through, and the place is going to be La Fortune Park. And this is the bull buffalo, and if he was standing, I guess he is standing there, isn't he? I can't. But that head is about 5 feet tall. That thing is going to be really big, and then there'll be a cow calf and junior calf combinations. This is one rendition of what it will wind up looking like. In the place to give you some bearings, let me go to the next one. Yeah, to give you some bearings where this is, you know where the baseball fields are? Okay, well there's a parking lot that's right out there. That's already been dug up, and then it'll go through the park. It should not be terribly disruptive of the features that are already there. It'll just be landscape. There'll be earth moving around, and the county's doing most of that on their own. And then with Dan Allerbach's design. And then we will start from the front. Let me go back one At the front, you'll have this area where it'll tell you what it is, and it's described as the Tulsa Herd, and there'll be a list of the people that have been patrons to it or contributed in some way to it, as well as the board members of NatureWorks, et cetera. And this is intended to last, decades and decades, and be there, and to be a draw to Tulsa, if you will. I don't think it would ever reach the level of draw as the Gathering Place, for example, which we're certainly thankful to have. This is just another thing, another piece of art, if you will, that Tulsa will have to show off. Groundbreaking on this, we think, will be in the fall. That's subject to a couple of things. Weather has a little bit to do with it. But LeBlanc has got the first few of the buffalo ready. They're set to be delivered here in the summer, and we'll be storing those, and then we'll have them put in along the way. So anyway, that's something to look for and look forward to. It's I think it will be a really good addition to Tulsa. Let me say one thing last about that. I think I'm right on time. Yeah. This grand monument is coming, like I say, from NatureWorks, and it's from the proceeds of what we generate for wildlife conservation. So we are not affecting that at all. In other words, we'll continue to donate money for these other causes that we always have. We're able to do that. We will be suspending the monument program that would otherwise be along the river for a little while in order to concentrate on this. But we're looking at, I think, realistically a 5-year window to complete it out, and maybe less. It really just depends on the corporate sponsors and others that come forward to help with it. But even if the first 11 are going to be pretty impressive, I have to tell you, because that'll take you back throughout that circle and beyond, a little bit back from that, because this is a little compact there for this drawing. But anyway, that's what I have on the Grand Monument, and the news is going to follow this. We've already talked with people about announcing it, and ought to be really good. On the art show, it is the 2nd and 3rd. I want to mention that again at the Renaissance Hotel. We open at, I believe, 10 on Saturday and close at 5, and Sunday at 11 and close at 5. And I hope you all come out and enjoy it and enjoy the monuments. This is the thing about, excuse me, NatureWorks. When we started, it was out of Ducks Unlimited, which raised money, obviously, through dinners and auctions and that sort of thing. It was really a direct dollar to benefit without much anything else other than it was fun to go to. That's why I think what NatureWorks has found out of was to not only raise money, but to give back. And so the giving back is this annual art show and the monuments that are around Tulsa for people to enjoy. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Michael. Michael's agreed to stick around for a few minutes after we close the meeting. If you have questions that you want to pose to him, please feel free to come forward and do that. A book recognizing today's program will be presented to our partner in education school, Celia Clinton. This week's book is The Mitten. So that's our book for Celia Clinton. So let's not lose sight of that grand Rotary International vision. Together we see a world where people unite, take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. And also please note that our new member will be at the guest table area in the foyer as you exit. So please take a moment to personally welcome Dan to our Rotary family. And with that, we are adjourned a few minutes early.